online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Yay!
Woo.
Hi, I'm Kari Lane, and for tonight's Spotlight On, I'm joined with David Beatty, who is the creator and writer of and actor in Get Spy, which is a fantastic web series. David's writings include so much wit, imagination, and at the center of it all, heart. And also, today I'm joined by Chelsea Alden, who's an actor in the web series.
What up?
And Lauren Davis, who is not only the director, but also cinematographer for Get Spy. So welcome to AfterBuzz.
Thank
Yay!
Thank you for having us.
It's so exciting.
Yeah.
Yay. So first off, David, how did Get Spy get started?
Yeah, David.
Do tell.
The inception for Get Spy, I mean, if you go back to the time when I was a kid running around the neighborhood, you know, playing guns and trying to shoot all your friends and hiding in bushes. I think really the beginning of Get Spy probably came from that. Just wanted to continue doing that as an adult, and have a reason to. You know, people call it art. But simultaneously, you know, I was surrounded by so many talented people, and I've always wanted to create projects with friends and the people that I know, and wanting to write specifically for the actors and the artists that I'm close with and that you want to work with. And so Get Spy just came from being surrounded by so many talented people.
Nice. And what influence do you feel is the style of the show?
I love Archer.
Who doesn't?
So, I know.
So there you go. If you like Archer, #1 reason, you gotta check out the show.
Definitely.
Archer, but I just was obsessed, and I had been watching season after season, and so there is another, not only as as just a fan of the show, but wanting to. I think everybody wants to be Sterling Archer, who's a fan of that show. So Peter Chase, the character I play, is an extension. He's like a distant cousin of Sterling Archer.
Nice.
And
And
that is slick.
No.
Archer's pretty slick.
Yeah, well, you know, Peter's got something to it.
He's lovable. He's adorable.
he did say distant cousin.
Yes.
Very distant.
Right.
And then was there any sort of budget for the show, any sort of campaigning to raise funds, or...
No, it all came out of a love to just create the project. I wrote the first script. We had a table reading of it, and after the reading, I said I would really love to do this. And I just looked around the room, and actually, Lauren, who directed the series, she's the first one that called me and said, as I was driving home, or there's a text that you sent me.
We were probably 2 blocks. I was barely out of your neighborhood. I couldn't. I was bursting.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's just the writing was so amazing, and everything just seemed to click. It just seemed right. And I called him. I said, "This is amazing. I can't believe how good the writing is." And
Yeah, I think it was that initial that when you reached out, that initial thing. I thought, oh, we could really do this.
Yeah.
I felt that you had people behind you. There was now like momentum. Everybody in the room. It was kind of electric when we all read it, and everybody went away really excited and thinking that we could actually do this. So that sort of passion, you jump on that when you can, and everybody really stepped up and to make that happen, to make the series happen.
Nice. And for Lauren and David, was there any sort of visual style going in and trying to film it?
I'm also a big fan of Veep.
yes.
The show Veep. So initially, I had said, let's look like the fun of Archer, but the style of Veep. But Veep, you can look at other shows, even Modern Family, Parks and Rec, or The Office. Although we don't do character interviews like some of those shows do, it is a little bit of a fly on the wall, handheld camera.
Yeah, a lot of movements
and something you could probably speak more to.
Well, I mean, You really just kind of said it. We made a concerted effort to just be as quick and easy with it as possible. I mean, we took a little time to set things up visually, but we didn't do a lot of lights. We just were like, and I think that that's something that was in my mind the whole time. I had an image of Veep, and I don't know. I think that was probably the primary.
Yeah, influence. I think it was a big influence. We would watch the show and we'd see how they shot things, and also, you know, I think one of the advantages to that is the actors get to act out the entire scene, and being actors ourselves, we wanted to be able to experience that, because oftentimes you just do one little bit and you do one little bit. And I think initially that idea was that we could...
You got to get it rolling and play and have some fun with it.
And so the camera could just be there.
So Chelsea, how was that experience as an actor to have that more continuous flow of a scene?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, that's, for me, it's the real fun difference between doing like independent projects with your friends and talented people versus like a larger budget TV show where, you know, obviously that's its own experience and is so fun to do, and you have a crew of 250 people. Here, when you're doing it with 7 people and you have a certain amount of time and you all have to get in and you have to get through 2.5 pages of dialogue, and you know, everybody wants to improv or you want to throw in a line. It's just there's more freedom and a little bit more play, and you know, at least for me, I felt comfortable being like, can we do it again? But can I just say, I don't know, boobies or something. You know what I mean? Like something ridiculous. Be like, okay, great, let's go again. And it just, I think it opened up the flow as far as an actor to be able to play a lot.
Was definitely a lot of discovery in the process. I agree. And a lot of good things came out of that.
It really lent to the overall product of the show.
And the improvisation. I mean, they were very kind in saying that they liked the script the way it was originally written, but the improvisation that came out of those times when we shot, and we were shooting single camera, and sometimes when you shoot 2 cameras, there's a lot more opportunity to, you know, run through the whole scene from beginning to end. When you're doing a single camera, it's harder, but nonetheless, we were able to stick to the storyline and give all the actors the opportunity to improvise stuff or throw one line out. Right. Even if it's boobies, to play with their moment and their characters. I think some of those real character discoveries were made through the improvisations, and that's fun too, because nobody's got the characters figured out yet.
Yeah.
And so we're stumbling through the first season, figuring out who these people are. And only after maybe you watch it a couple of times, you go, oh, that's what that character is.
And it really is the collaboration, too, because like he said, you know, the first season, you are discovering who your character is. You're like, you know, I don't have 6 seasons of backstory of who this person is, so we're all kind of figuring out who these people are, and we get to do it collaboratively. You know what I mean? To be like, do you think from your perspective, does that work out? Like, if I say that, do you think my character would say that? Like, yeah, no. Or David would be like, oh, you know what? Here's a tennis racket. Hold that. You're like, okay. You know, and it becomes a very collaborative process to discover each individual character. And I think now going into season 2, we all had a much stronger viewpoint as to who each individual character was.
Absolutely. But I do think that, I mean, David cast the piece. And I think that casting actually contributed a lot to who these characters... I mean, I think we had an idea who the characters were going to be from the beginning.
Sure.
Yeah, even just from, like, the poster, if we can look at that, the poster, even just character stances have so much behind them and attitude, and they're just silhouettes, you know.
Totally.
And then we have another photo of Chelsea and David. If we can go to that photo. Yeah. So even your outfit kind of dictates part of an attitude, you would say, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. It was really fun. I remember I would send David photos after photo after photo, be like, do you think she's more like Abby on NCIS? Or do you think she's more like Cosima on Orphan Black? Or like, who are we going for? And then I was like, maybe she's a little bit rockabilly. And I just went with the bandana and found some dresses, and it was all
I think as soon as we found that bandana, finding your costume stuff is probably the most memorable, because that exchange of photos and figuring out who that character was, to, as you said, not to be your own, to find out who your character and your original idea, and that as soon as that discovery was made, that was really fun.
Yeah, it really informed how I played the character throughout the season.
Actually, I was going to say, you want to talk a little bit more about your character and your character's name, because there's something to that too. What is your character's role? There we go.
Okay, so, well, I mean, I guess the premise of Get Spy, we're sort of a low-budget spy team. My character is Tech Girl, and that is who she is known as. We never hear her name, and that becomes a sore subject for her frequently.
Excellent scene, though.
Thank you. That was really fun to shoot. Really, really fun. So I play Tech Girl, so I'm kind of constantly working with low budget or no money gadgets, or trying to glue together teddy bears to make them, send Wi-Fi signals to whatever, and it makes for a lot of humor and a lot of comedy, and I think my character kind of gets to be a bit grounded in the sense, like, they're all like, we're gonna go save the world, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that, and I'm like, how do you want me to track you down? How am I supposed to do that? You gave me $5. What am I supposed to do with that? So it gave me a lot to play with, which was a lot of fun. And David, of course, wrote some really great dialogue for me to banter back and forth with. And the way that Lauren also directs the scenes, I think, plays so well into how the overall show turned out in the end. Just like very quick A to B. Here we go. Okay, do it again. So that you don't get a lot of you get a lot of certainty in your shots, which I think plays out really nicely.
I'd agree. Yeah, I like that too. I think one of the things I always, the idea that by watching movies and TV shows, we think we know what espionage is and what's capable. TV shows cut to a guy on a computer and you just figured it out, know exactly where he is. And so playing around with the idea that the characters think that the world of espionage can be solved with a person behind a computer, and you're like, no, it doesn't work that way quite nearly as
voice
fast.
Of reason.
And that was fun to explore, just how much we depend on the girl on the computer to figure out how to solve the crime.
Without your GPS phones, you guys would be lost.
I know.
This is the call a friend, phone a friend.
Exactly.
That's how high tech we are. We all have smartphones. And
I was going to say art imitates life, right? The show, it's espionage on a budget, and it's because the show is.
I think we were using an LG phone, the flip phone, in the first season. That they got smashed. I know.
Well, I was going to say
that's right.
That's pretty sturdy, though.
Maybe we're used to calling Adele. That's all.
And then Chelsea, you talked about this a little bit earlier, but for David and Chelsea, how is acting in this as a web series compared to working on a television show or a feature film?
I mean, for me, it's two totally different experiences. It's kind of hard to put your finger on a little bit, but
money.
There's that
How
involvement.
about freedom? I mean, you really do have a lot of freedom in this scenario. I
Absolutely. That's probably the biggest difference. Like earlier we were talking about collaboration, independent filmmaking and web series and web content. There's so much freedom and ability to just, talk to your director and work with people, whereas being a day player on a TV show, or even a couple days, you don't get as much one-on-one dialogue time. It's go, we got to do this.
You may not even speak to the director.
Totally. So and you really have to, there's not as much flexibility, you know what I mean? The words on the page are the words on the page, and that guy got paid a lot of money to write those words on that page, and you say them that way, and that's a joy and a huge pleasure to be able to do in and of itself. But I really have so much fun interacting and doing the independent side of filmmaking.
Anything to add on that one?
Well, it is great. I did an episode of Criminal Minds a few years ago, and any time that airs, no matter where, because it plays all over, there's always somebody saying, "Oh, I saw your episode," and there's a tremendous amount of joy that comes, and ego. It's no ego says, "Hey, you're on this great show, and it's being played all over the world," and checks that continuously come. That's nice. But the downs, I mean, I work on that for one day, and maybe it's 6 hours for one day. And the the amount that goes into that, is so different than the number of hours and blood, sweat, and tears that goes into this other thing. And Criminal Minds would exist with or without me. I mean, probably without me. They'll just find somebody else. It's not.
No.
It's not.
I don't think so.
But I think the independent projects that we make that come from our imaginations, our own things, they're more like our children. They're the things that would not exist without us. And so for me to continue doing stuff like that is really grounded in this idea that it's ours. We created that, and it's and that means so much more. So I think that. And incidentally, you can see Get Spy around the world too.
I was just gonna say, with the internet,
go to getspy.wordpress.com.
Yeah,
So it too can be seen all around the world.
Now, I know, besides budget, was there any particular difficult instances you ran into while filming in any aspect that you want to share?
Or is that a question to the two of you?
Dirt? You want some dirt? Do we have any?
What? Why are we looking at me?
I don't know if we have any.
Or
Like, good
even, from an actor standpoint, from a, writing or
Okay,
locations,
I have
directing.
one. I have one. Because as you mentioned before, I was directing and acting. I mean, just shooting it. And so there was 1 or 2 days, but there was one day in particular when I was shooting just a small scene.
Yeah.
Well, I have a wig and I have makeup and I have this costume, and prior to that I've got my tennis shoes and my sweatpants on, and I'm like a contortionist getting in these crazy positions, and now it's my turn and I've got to hand the camera to somebody else, and I'm like sweating and getting my stuff on, and that's a challenge. That was a challenge.
I definitely sounds like one.
And it's a challenge you overcame. I mean, it was pretty remarkable. I mean, on a day like that, she really does. And most days, you have the most challenging work out of all of us because you are carrying the camera.
I would tend
You're
to
directing.
Agree, actually. Yes.
Yeah. There is nobody's going to disagree with this.
Well, she's the one standing on her feet the entire day,
right?
Every shoot day.
Yeah.
I may not have to be there for 3 or 4 days. And then when I do come, I'm there and I get to chill and hang out for 3 hours while I wait for my scene and they're doing other setups. You're there the entire time from start to finish, on your feet, shooting, directing, in the zone. That's commitment and a lot of hard work.
How lucky am I?
You're spectacular.
And a new mother. I mean, you do have it.
Well, this season we had baby on board.
Yep.
Yeah, we shot season 2 with Harper.
Yes. It's okay. You can say her name.
Can we say her name?
Top secret.
And which was great. It was a great experience having her there.
It was great, and it's actually a great example of how everyone involved is just. It's such a communal effort because. Whether we need somebody to hold a boom or keep the kid entertained, everyone just jumps in and does what needs to be done. And it's really just, it's almost like a big family or a small family.
Now, would you say anybody can chime in? That is kind of one of the benefits of these smaller independent projects because people are expected / need to do multiple jobs and are more willing to. Because on a bigger scale, yes, it's, everybody has their distinct department and so your job. But what is that like? Do you like it, or do you prefer it when people can multitask, jack of all trades, or just different?
I actually think I have a little bit of a love-hate thing with it because like I just said, there's something in the energy of people willing to do whatever needs to be done. But sometimes it sucks having to do everything that needs to be done. Sometimes you just want to relax and say, "Can you guys do that? I'm going to sit down."
Yeah.
So I don't know. Both. It's good and it's bad.
Absolutely agree. That's absolutely right. I do love that people step up and they do it, but it is people are doing it out of love, and they're doing it because they're your friends, and they're doing it because they have a passion for the project, and that's why I think you need to balance those two. You need to have those projects, and you also have to go do work that studio pays for, and everybody's getting paid a nice fair amount to do what they're specifically hired to do. And so working on building that side. So, but it's great. I mean, God, you can't buy that sort of Well, maybe you could buy it, but the love that everybody puts into it is really fantastic. But yeah, it does suck from time to time having to do everything.
Once in a while.
Once in a while.
Now,
I really didn't. I did my part. No,
I didn't do anything.
no I
not
babysat.
true.
I hung
You
out with the
did.
kid a lot.
You did a lot of amazing things.
And then I showed up and I wore red lipstick and a cute
Yeah.
dress. That was my job.
nice. Now, you've just finished season 2, and you probably don't want to spoil anything. So, any favorite memories from season 1? But I guess if people haven't seen it yet, that's try not to do spoilers.
Right.
Or behind the scenes, any favorite memories or instances that stand out?
You know, I for me, I mean, talking a little bit about season 2, I think one of the first things that we shot was a boxing match, and without giving too much away, that was a really fun scene to shoot. I think because we had a lot of people and it was choreographed, and it was like, for me, it was like we had done all of season 1 and that was its own little baby, right? And then we took that, and David was kind of like, well, if we did that in season 1, what can we do in season 2? And I feel like we really elevated the stakes. We pushed the envelope a little bit of like, hey, well, let's just see just how far we can go. And so I think shooting that scene in particular was exceptionally fun.
And incidentally, had to be 110 degrees in there.
It was so hot.
Ouch.
You know what? It worked for the scene. We were all sweating.
In the editing room now, you can't believe it, but you can't tell that it was 104 degrees. I mean, we have a little glisten on us, but you don't notice. It's surprising because we thought surely because it was so hot and we were just dying
We were in a
that it would
garage.
register, but it didn't. I mean, it really doesn't register that much at all. I mean, it's an underground boxing match, so I mean, there's some part of it's supposed to be a little dirty, and a little sweaty, and a little
stinky, and
Sure.
but it looks maybe 80, 85.
Not too bad.
Comfortable mid 80s.
Not too bad.
Yeah. There's a couple times where Chelsea's you're just doing this. The camera's
had the
rolling and
worst.
she's just. It is.
yeah.
I think I
outtakes.
continued doing it for
because
the
she
sake
had
of,
makeup on and she was
and a jacket.
Yes.
Why did
Oh,
I wear a
yes.
jacket that
That's
day?
right. She had a jacket on.
Because it looked cute with my outfit. That's why.
That's what matters. It looked cute.
Incidentally, everybody who came that day, you know, that there are so many people that did show up.
Yes.
A lot of people from, I'm a part of a film collective here in LA called We Make Movies, and it's actually a great plug if anybody in LA community is interested in finding a good community of filmmakers. We Make Movies is an incredible resource that and a lot of the people from We Make Movies showed up that day to be in our boxing match, and they came, you know, taped up, their hands taped up, some blood things. I remember Michael Beardsley, the blood thing.
Commitment.
Heidi
Double black
Schooler,
eye.
she was
great.
there. I mean,
Yeah.
there were a lot of people who. Trying to run off everybody, Curtis Bechtold and whoever everybody else that was there. I need my list, but I mean, it was incredible. Everybody who showed up that day was fantastic, and it made for our first day back like a party.
Yes.
Definitely.
And we continued to have so much help all along the way, really. I mean, from people that aren't regular members of the cast.
Yeah, that's true. We had a lot of help.
Yes. And speaking of season 2, you know, another thing that I think is great about it is that, as we were discussing earlier, you know, in season 1, people were finding their way and finding their character. And once we got to season 2, we had nailed it down. So people got to expand a little bit. And I think it was a little bit more fun because we had found the place for the characters. And there was a lot more play in season 2, I think.
Yeah.
I agree, and I think also then what that did is allowed for our stable characters who were there in season 1 to like have our footing, and then we brought in so many amazing actors for season 2 for new characters. I mean, Diana Romo is spectacular.
I was gonna say, let's go to our go through a couple of these photos because we got some of those people.
Oh yeah.
Let's go. I think it's next one right after that is fine. Momentary wait. 'Cause, this next one has some of the villains from season 1.
We've got Allison Daniel in the center there, Eric Davis, and Brandon Cook.
Yep. And we'll go to the next one because we mentioned Diana. Oh no, that one after that. So there we go.
And there we go. That's Diana. And she is just a gem and a complete doll to work with. And I was so excited that David wrote a part for her in season 2 because I love her to death. Diana, I love you.
So we got one more photo too, and I think David, you're in it. There you go.
Yeah.
And Eric is spectacular. He's just such a sweetheart. I could gush.
I'll gush with you. He's my husband.
Right?
Biased.
She can gush more than I.
Eric is a fantastic actor. I mean, I think he's so subtle, and it's a real privilege to get to edit his work together, because the things he does is very it's the subtle differences sometimes, and he's good. He's good. I gush. I'm in love with him. I have to admit. I'm in love with him.
We're not the only ones who love him. I mean, he just did How to Get Away with Murder. He did an episode of
Scorpion,
The Player with Wesley Snipes.
The man works.
So I can't even remember. He just shot something else this week, and I don't.
Is it The Fosters?
Yes, it was. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's great.
Apparently, the word is out that he's a good actor. Everybody
Right?
wants
Everybody
to work
wants
with him
him.
now. Right.
And then I don't know if you have a picture, but Maite Garcia as well.
Oh, right.
Not in this set.
She came in for season
great
2
character.
as a wonderful villain, and she just brings so much to the table.
That's another one of those. She was sending me a lot of costume ideas, and what about this idea, and what about this idea, and I wrote the character as she has an eye patch, and she wears an eye patch, and she came up with so many different ideas about how to wear this eye patch, and she's a phenomenal actress. Again, I think I'm just so lucky that everybody who said yes to wanting to be a part of this. I mean, it's one thing to work with incredible people, and then they're also just excited about the project, and they bring so many ideas. It overwhelms you. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
Aw, we'll have a collective. Aww. Now, David, you did kind of start talking about in Chelsea with the heat. Sometimes accidents can turn into some awesome scenes. Were there any other accidents that actually in the end turned out for the better? So the heat, obviously, was hot, but it looked okay. So
Definitely in the boxing. It worked for us in the boxing.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I was trying to think in season 1 if there were any mishaps. I feel like you have 18 things happening in your head right now. Thinking do I share these or do I not?
There were a couple in season 2 that I don't. It's hard to talk about because you can't point to them and go watch this. But this wasn't there when we shot. But I'll tell it anyway. So there is it's the scene where we have to climb down a ladder.
Okay.
And the already, see, it's funny.
Already something.
It's supposed to be this really long scene where you climb over and the ladder goes into a hole that's in the ground, and it's a very long hole that goes down. But we didn't have a hole in the ground to climb down. It was merely just a cement round sort of circular thing with
almost like a planter or something.
Yeah, like a giant planter and we faked the ladder that was at the top. But instead of climbing down the ladder, we just said, well, what if we just jump and do this Geronimo, and then sound effect splash at the bottom of it. And we thought, that's the corniest idea. This is not going to work. And then Lauren said, well, let's just shoot. Want to see what it looks like. And so set the camera up and did a fake jump in, and it worked. It worked. It's incredible how it looks.
A little practice, but not that much.
Not that, it's remarkable.
Amazing.
It's a happy accident because we thought this, and it wasn't that exciting to do the whole climb down.
It's a happy accident, and
accident.
I think we had a series of things in both seasons like that because we don't have a budget, and we have to get clever and creative and make things out of nothing, and that's necessity is the whatever it is.
Something of invention.
Is mother
creator. Thank you. Mother invention. Yeah, something like that
works.
Without Google, we were pretty good. We just did that.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what I really liked in season 1 in episode 4, which largely centers on me, which is why I know that.
Yeah.
I think because we were shooting it, and at the end, David has a lot of Star Wars paraphernalia, and he was like, "What if we just put Yoda on your desk here?" And at the end, he's like, "Just talk to Yoda. Just tell him some stuff." And I was like, "What? Okay." And I don't know how many takes we ended up doing of that, but he ended up keeping it in the final, and I love it. It's just this great shot, and it's just like it gets quiet, and I'm just
great.
talking to Yoda and.
Yeah.
So even Star Wars fans should check out Get
I
Spy
know,
because we
right?
got Yoda. You know.
Indeed.
We have Yoda.
There you go. Now we've talked about how funny it is and just remembering things. You've all been laughing a bit. Was there any time where it was really hard not to laugh?
Oh dear God.
I think that was the entire shoot.
Yes, I think it was the entire shoot. I think and David actually put together a outtake reel.
Oh yeah.
From season 1. And I'm pretty sure there are at least a few times where you can hear me saying, "Stop laughing. You have to stop laughing." You know, I mean.
I think my favorites were with Heather from season 1. She would laugh. She would crack up all the time.
She would. Absolutely.
And she was so great too. I loved the two of you, your banter back and forth in the final when you guys watched season 1. Their relationship is so great on camera. And then just having been there watching them shoot it, and she just cracks up. It's so entertaining to me, at least.
Well, it definitely sounds like it was fun to be on set, of course.
It's tougher, you know, because she was a natural laugher, and she placed more or less the straight character to our banter back and forth. So her having to keep a straight face and keep her.
And David was a little bit of an instigator.
I was
Let's
just
be
going to
honest.
ask about that. There's a scene with you're in the car and next to a car with her, and you're like, "Do we have a moment?" And you can see her struggle.
Yes.
It's so funny. It's like,
Yeah.
"Do we have a moment?" No. Yeah.
I think there's about
All
6 of those in
improv.
the outtakes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
well,
good. She's like trying to.
We tried to practice those off screen too, but
Now, you've all gone through this experience of making a web series. Is there any particular advice you'd have to filmmakers out there who want to make their own web series? We could go down the line. Everybody has it.
Folks?
Yeah.
well, it's so well. In some ways, it is. It's easy just to go do it. I mean, there's really no excuse just to grab a camera, even if it's on your phone, and just go make it. I guess the only advice I would say is I've become very fond of writing in the last few years, so I really like a good script myself. So I think that's where it starts, is a good script, and you know you can follow. It doesn't matter what your show is about, but I think a well-conceived idea, well-written script is a first part in the process.
I agree.
Of doing it, because everything else is just sort of at your fingertips, whether it's sound or camera or whatever. So,
And I think people are fairly forgiving, honestly, if the material's good. You know, if you don't have a budget, it can still be funny and entertaining. And they're really, I mean, and I think David's right. There's really nothing to stop you. Just do it.
Yeah.
You can do something with a 0 budget, and you can do something with a big budget. It doesn't, or anything in between. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, and also the thing is like you can't get discouraged if you do something and it doesn't look like Jurassic World. You know, you didn't have $10 million,
Yes.
so don't beat yourself up and just try again and read blogs. And they're like, here are
Yes,
tricks. Like,
yes.
put a camera on a rolling chair and slide it
Yes.
over, and suddenly you have production value. Like, look for these little low budget tricks and
Wheelchair dollies.
a wheelchair dolly.
Yeah.
A wheelchair
brilliant
dolly. And or a skateboard, you know?
Yeah.
I've seen it where it's just like people use pipe and do like wheels from a skateboard and make a whole thing. Yeah, you can.
You can make your own lights. You can do, I mean,
Totally.
really, there's a wealth of information.
You can buy lighting kits on Amazon
Yep.
for like $60.
Yeah.
And the one thing I would say that for me, I find to be like, if you're gonna invest in something, it's audio.
I agree. It's a dead giveaway
It's
of
a
no budget.
Huge giveaway.
Yeah.
You're almost better off
Yeah.
if you're just starting out to do something and cut it entirely to music. Don't do any audio. Get that down, and then start adding in your audio and really try it different ways until you figure it out. Because I feel like to me that's the biggest giveaway of independence.
And it's definitely a learning process. So you give it away, you give it away. This was my first one, or, you know,
Right.
whatever the case may be. Because if you're doing it, I'm going to assume that you have a passion for it. So you're winning already if you're just doing it,
yeah.
regardless of the outcome.
Yeah. Is there any particular resource sites or things that you found useful to use, or just experimenting?
There's a couple websites that I like to read from, but I don't. IndieWire, I like.
IndieWire is good.
Because they do a lot of good interviews, and they'll do like 5
little
things of how to make
tutorials
something.
Yeah, I don't know that we used anything in particular for this shoot.
Yeah.
But there are definitely a number of
Yeah, and you can set your
sites.
own. I mean, if you're on the other side of just creating a website for your project or whatever, and to have an outlet, or whether or not you upload it to YouTube or Vimeo or whatever your platform is that you're going to get, those are great resources, obviously, for getting it out. There are other. I would say more than a website. Is your community of people who you're working with. And I go back to, I mean, I mentioned We Make Movies earlier, but I'm involved in an acting class, and the acting class is called Studio 24/7. And it's Mark McPherson is the teacher of that.
I think we have a photo of him with Chelsea on there. It's
Do you? Yeah, he's
season 2.
Yeah, it's Chelsea has a gag in her mouth. We can get that.
that's a photo.
You know, just another Thursday.
And Mark
you know.
Mark came on, and he played a role in season 2 for
Nice.
us. But I think more than anything, it's the community of people that you find that, because you could be a one-man army and go out and do it yourself, or a woman army, go out and do it yourself.
Yeah.
But I do think you need the people next to you who want to create it with you. So, and tell you that the script needs work, or tell you that we need a wheelchair for a dolly, or tell you that, that I heard a story from a friend who shot she needed a high-up shot in a tree, but she didn't have a tree. She had like a small bush. So she put somebody like faking like they're in the tree, and then the person standing below the tree was on their knees, and they just cheated the shot.
Sounds familiar.
Does it?
It's like The Hobbit.
Yeah. Well, we are towards the end, so
Yeah.
real quick, what is the status of Get Spy? And then after that, where can people find you, and what projects do you have next?
Great.
Sure.
So let's start with status of the show.
I'm in the middle of editing season 2 as
Cool.
we speak, and so we should see the end of March, early April to be the first. We're depending on how quickly we get edited here.
Yep.
But those are our drop dates. They're the beginning of end of March, early April.
And season 1 is on YouTube right now.
Season 1 is on YouTube right now. You can go to getspy.wordpress.com, or you could just Google search Get Spy.
Okay.
And it'll come up, and you can find all of our first 8 episodes of season 1 on YouTube as we speak. And so I guess season 2 is my current project.
Okay, that's a good one. And where can people find more about you?
Oh, you can go to my website, it's davidbeatty.net. And my last name is Beatty, davidbeatty.net.
Like Warren.
Like Warren.
He's so handsome.
And there you can find links to recent films and the Criminal Minds, if you want to watch that episode.
There you go.
I do.
I was also in a movie with Mickey Rooney.
Nice.
That's coming out soon.
Chelsea?
I was lucky enough to shoot on quite a few TV shows last year, and so I was in an episode of Jane the Virgin. You can check that out, or About a Boy, and I also have January 3rd, you can catch me in the pilot episode of Cooper Barrett's Guide to Surviving Life on Fox.
Nice.
And then I'll also be in an episode of American Crime Story, OJ versus the People. I can't tell you which episode, but the show's going to be amazing, so really you should watch it anyway. And you can find me on Twitter, Chelsea Alden, Facebook, and my website, chelseaalden.com.
Nice. And Lauren?
All right, I'll make it easy. So I'm working on a few writing projects, and I am at Lauren, Lorin, Davis.com. Links to my Twitter and all the other stuff is there,
Nice.
including Get Spy.
Yeah. All right, and I think that kind of wraps it up. My name is Kari Lane. You can find me on Twitter at Kari D Lane, and my website is karilane.net. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kari. It was a
Thank
blast.
You,
Thank you so
AfterBuzz,
much.
for having us.
Thank you.
Yay!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.